Right, hello everybody and welcome to round 14 of AOR's F1 League. We are now this evening going around the sunshine state of Miami, Florida. We've recently, last weekend, avoided this race so we could watch it in real life, watch Lando Norris come to his maiden victory in Formula 1 after 110 starts. We're all very happy for him. Nonetheless, me, I had to turn away from the TV for a good 15 minutes. I'm sure a lot of you did too. We've got a few drivers coming this evening. Not everybody, as we come towards the tail end of the season, but our championship winner, Persigili, is coming back to take a few more wins away from those who challenged him earlier on in the season. Unfortunately, there is no Retro Ghost this evening. He is packing for his holiday. I'm sure he'll be in the comments wishing everybody well as he pop it up on his TV whilst he's busy, both hands packing his bag and hopefully not getting too much grief off his missus from his packing skills. So we're going to get a little bit of detail up here. Help me along. Help everybody else along too. Now the drivers should know by now, for those that watch the stream back, I pick up the first driver out or the first driver over the line and they get my attention for the lap. So we've got 13 drivers. Looks like someone down the bottom end of the pit lane is out first. That'll be the Haas of Solid Ninja Snake. Out he goes with the sun setting in Miami. It looks like Persigili looks like he wants to challenge in the latter stages of this season. He is elected to retire early in the pits. So no banzai pole lap from Persigili. We're going to see what the rest of the grid can do. As we got a lovely floor shot of the back of the Haas there, dancing its rear through the first sector. Now I bet if you're in an F1 car, this particular section is quite boring, but it's very cool watching the drivers that are out there siding through these turns. It looks very impressive, although it doesn't feel too impressive in the car. So like I said last week, we did have Persigili crowned champion after a dominant display around Abu Dhabi. We've got this round and then Brazil to cap off the championship. There are plenty of other positions up for grabs. Unfortunately, though, I'm a maestro enough to tell you who's going to be champion, but to actually work out the latter positions and keep on track of everything, I'm not quite that smart. So if anybody can keep me up to date, positions and what it means for the championship, I'd be much appreciated. But we're going to get on here with Solid Ninja Snake, who rounds the final bends and sets off after his lap. DRS opens across the line. DRS deployment will have already begun. A few different lines you can take to this first corner here. There's a wide one where you can pinch the exit and then run wide, or you can keep it super tight to try and power through the first corners afterwards. And this one's quite key. You can carry a lot of speed through here. You don't want to scrub too much off. Chose not to hug the wall too much on his first attempt. Moving quite fast through there. You want to take it nice and wide out, but you want to keep the minimum speed up so you can throw it at this exit here. And as I mentioned before, just DRS open, ERS deployed, try and reach a nice high top speed down this, but try and save a little bit of ERS for the other DRS straight coming up in the last sector. Braking here is key. You don't want to go too deep, otherwise you're going to tighten yourself up too much for this slow third gear corner. Braking uphill, sometimes in fourth gear. So I'm just taking it in third, down to second. And rounds it, he'll get back on the ERS. Always gets a bit of a snap. That'll cost him a bit of speed down the straight. But now it just flats the floor. Car's underneath his full control. And all he's got to concern him with is hitting this 100 meter board and braking all the way down to second gear to take this turn. Taking it in third. Proves me wrong. Is it faster? Is it not? Or is it? And our preliminary time to beat is going to be a 1:27.888. And coming around the final bend, we have Aston Martin of Bachelor Lightyear. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Of Creamer, the last of the championship protagonists, who smashes that time by about a tenth. And we've got Super Jesse crossing the line after that in the 28s. Can Bachelor Lightyear do? He's still chasing this McLaren. And Lex to come in. I think he thinks that lap was ruined. But Tezik crossing the line to start his lap, but I can't help but notice he's already used a lot of his ERS up. So this won't last him the whole lap. I don't suspect this lap, with that amount of ERS being down, will do that well for him. We do have... Let's super... So trying to pick the cars out correctly as we go around. Gulmarv, one of the podium bouncers, just coming to start his lap. Or Rising Moon in the middle sector. Rising Moon, who's put in some fantastic qualifying performances so far this season. We're going to go on board with him. He might get a double slipstream here as he sees cars ahead of him down the straight. Hopefully they see him coming and aren't too concerned how they start their laps. Uses all the curb on the outside, avoids that raised curb on the inside. Stays quite a conservative line through the final corner. Only P3. We were expecting maybe a little bit more from Rising Moon there, but he's only less than a tenth away from that top spot. But there, Tezik throws one in, puts everybody another tenth back from the pole position. As we catch Gulmarv having a bit of a snap, and then a hit of the wall for good measure as he comes down the back and final straight. As we can get an idea here of what sort of top speed everyone's doing. That was Gulmarv reaching 202 miles an hour there. We check in here and there to see who can top that. Gives a good idea of setup for the race. Uses last of his ERS up to go across the line in P5. When you're that low on ERS, it can really start to stall the engine. Pick up Simu Rally Monster, who's coming around the final bend. And thank you to those that are dropping in and out of the stream. It's all much appreciated. Drop a like and a subscribe to the channel. And Simu Rally Monster, well done lap. Puts himself within a tenth, only edging out Max Duca by 1,000th of a second. Fantastic lap. Simu Rally Monster is usually sitting just outside the top 10, showing good pace early on. I think this is an in lap from Gulmarv. We can pick up Bachelor Lightyear, who's just about to start his lap. One of the drivers who has correctly managed to save the ERS around their outlap. And off he goes. The mean green machine powers down towards turn 1. Gets all the way over the curb to maximise his turning on entry. Not so many drivers electing to ride these curves this evening. He goes quite wide there. He managed to keep the traction on the dirty part of the track. Rear is so very well planted. The high speeds really helping the F1 car hunker down. Lets him run a lot of curb on the outside there, showing he's really committed. DRS opens. Lets the car just naturally pull out wide. Allows the track to show him where to go on the outside as he just runs the line to get his turning set up. Really hard to see from that angle exactly how much he was unsettled by that curb, but it was all over it. So he saw 202 on Gulmarv. We've got Bachelor Lightyear here. Over in his wing, pushing all the way. 100 metre board. I wasn't looking. Too busy waffling. But it does look a good lap. I've not been keeping track of the times, but in terms of a nice, calm, collected lap, puts himself P7. Now, there really isn't that much between P8 and P1 here. Only 0.3 of a second and a bit of a drop off to Super Jesse and Muslane, with Pedro still to set a lap. Creamer back out now. The solid Ninja Snake improves again, puts himself top of the pile. Creamer with a very aggressive turn in there. And Creamer so far is finding 3/10. This is pole in the bag for him. If he can keep this up. All over the curb, unlike many around him. I'd say that maybe a little bit deep, compromises the exit into the next corner, but pulls it back together for the Mickey Mouse chicane. Oh, as I think that was maybe a bit of a clout of the wall there. We'll see what he's like towards the end of the lap. I'm sure he would have lost a bit of time there. But he'll want every single bit of it, considering how tight it is at the top here. Got McLaren of Tezik ahead of him. He's just starting his lap. He's pushing to the line. I don't think this will quite be pole. Oh, but it is! It is! By 1.5 tenths goes pole. And they've just caught Max Duca facing the wrong way. An odd place there. A lot of drivers pulling into the pits now. As we go on board with Mushrain. Mr. Smooth. Oh, locking a brake on entry. Holds it together. I hope I've not jinxed him with that nickname, because ever since I called him Mr. Smooth, he's gradually got less and less smooth. It's a little bit bogged down on power there, but he is 3/4 of a second up. But he is unfortunately a 1.5 off pole position at the moment. This would only take him up 1 place for all his efforts. Doesn't seem too confident on power, Mushlane, as it stands. Just seems to be waiting to get on the throttle. As he does eventually improve by a full second, brings us up to P8. Is it? Bull pulling into the pits. I think Pedro's on an in lap here. So we'll go on board with Simu Rally Monster. Not a sex time from just yet. So that camera angle is making it look like everybody's hitting the wall. Simu also, I think, is an outlap here, but he has used some ERS, unfortunately. So that's really not going to help him. As Rising Moon finds another 10th almost to go to the head of the board with a 127.3. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get too much action in the next few minutes. Everybody's going to pile out the pits very, very shortly. So just a word to those who are watching with Retro being on holiday, well, packing for holiday this week and being on holiday next week, and the season coming to an end, and a new game coming out. This will be our last F1 commentary sessions for AOR. It's been a pleasure commentating for you, and I will be seeing it out till the end of the season. And I'm sure I'll see you in the future in something or other. But for this game at least, that'll be it. And I'm probably not going to be buying the new game until I hear a bit more about it. And we'll go from there. I'll be moving on to commentate some ACC elsewhere. So you might catch me on the airwaves if you're far and wide as drivers. No, it's been a pleasure to see this championship come to fruition. But anyway, back to the action. We've got Super Jesse, who's decided to take the opportunity on a clear track to find 3/10, which, as mentioned before, for a few of the drivers, won't really gain them anything. That amount, you really need to be in and around the mid 127s to be in a shout for any sort of reasonable position here. And one thing I don't think I've seen any drivers really utilising so far is a toe. Then again, they are quite hard to plan for around here. And Super Jesse brakes heavy. Oh, and Tokyo drifts it round the final corner. He won't like that for his tyres. So Creamer leads Pedro out around the track. We've also got Gulmarv a bit further round. He'll be the first one across the line for this final run at the Miami track for qualifying. I'm not sure if that bollard that Max Verstappen took out is actually meant to be there in this game, but it's not there anymore already. We'll have to wait for the race start to see if it actually is getting put back in place. Gormov slows right down, takes a wide line, and then absolutely catapults his exit. Very strategic start to his lap. And uses the extra tight line to really throw himself at the line. And then he goes, just be no mistakes on this lap. He's had his practice runs, and off he goes. Gormov, who is this season so far qualified well, not in the really pointy positions, but near the top, and then has just had fantastic race pace. And off he goes. He is equal with his time in sector 1. As it stands, we don't quite know how strong that is without full timetables. Now he's going to see those two cars ahead of him, and he'll be thanking his lucky stars that Alfa Romeo got out of his way. If it hasn't caused too much of a distraction for him. Potentially has. He's a 10th and a half down. But a lot can be won in this final corner. Breaks in, takes a much tighter line this time. Now he's actually trying to reduce the track distance. Gets a bit of a shake on the exit. And puts himself up to P3. He did find another 4/10 in that final sector. But then Creamer absolutely blitzes everybody. Puts himself into the 126s. Got Pedro coming across the line. Doesn't improve. Has come across the line, but we're going to stay on board with Rising Moon. Actually, no, we're going to go to Bachelor Lightyear. Oh no, we're going to go back to Rising Moon as Bachelor Lightyear has invalidated. Not too much for Rising Moon to do, apart from whack on the brakes here. He's still got a bit of ear rest in his deployment. It's a great turn, gets out and over the curb. Kicks him a little bit of dust. Holds it really tight and goes pole! By only 1,000th of a second. What a time! What can Tezik do? We don't know how far he is ahead. Goes P4. But Mr. Smooth, Mr. Mooshlane, he is down on his time, so I can't see this making any fireworks. But we won't know. Puts himself up to P7. But oh my goodness. Now you guys wait for the championship to be decided before you split pole by 1,000th of a second. Take a snapshot of that and give yourself a pat on the back, Rising Moon. You did it by 1,000th of a second, and then everybody else a couple of tenths back. Those that really dared those final laps, just dropping back a few extra tenths, but a second and only just over a second covering the top 10, with Super Jesse just dropping out of that, and we have Persegili and Phoenix who are looking to do a last to first challenge. So we're going to wait to count in to the session now. And I think there's going to be battles all up and down the field. Got quite a few fast drivers. Rising Moon, Creamer, Simi Rally Monster, Matt Stuka, all with incredible race pace. Sorry for anybody I skipped there. It's nothing personal. It's just commentary. So we're going to sit in station now while we wait for everybody to pick their setups, make a few necessary changes to maybe their wing for this race, set the fuel loads, set the tyre strategies, and we'll be underway when Crofty's going to take over and tell us a little bit about this track. Let me know if you've got any predictions, like if Persegili's going to come flying through, if there's going to be safety cars, how many safety cars, and maybe what's the optimal tyre strategy for here. We saw Lando Norris make a very good medium-hard strategy work. Obviously, we are running a 50% race this evening, so potentially a long medium onto a soft could maybe work. But we'll get those tyre strategies shortly. Thank you for your continued support. Watching the stream, drop a like, hit subscribe so you don't miss any more of the action. Even if it's not F1 that you're just tuning in for the first time, maybe think, oh, maybe I want a bit of something else. AOR does iRacing, they do GT7, they do Assetto Corsa, they do Assetto Corsa Competizione. There's so much for you to dig your teeth into, whether that be just watching the stream or getting involved in racing as well. If you reach out in the comments, I'm sure one of the admins will reach out to you with a link to the Discord. Otherwise found on the YouTube channel, should be shared somewhere there. Looks like somebody really wants to set their fuel right. But here we go on our formation lap. Over to Crofty.
See how the dry conditions can affect the lifespan of the tyres.
So yeah, quite a few aggressive tyre strategies there. Quite similar to Miami in real life, to be honest.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
So here we are, the drivers line up. Persky just tactically rolling into his spot there. I believe those are the hard tyres you see on him. We have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're going to hold and then set these super fast cars off. There you go. Rising Moon on the soft tyre, getting a great start. No crazy heroics at the back like we see at the start of the race and the sprint, but that is Tezik cutting the second turn, but then choosing to go super tight. But he then has Gulmov around us outside. And so it just has to slot in. We're going to quickly get the tyres up so you can see strategically what is happening. Phoenix is just hosting this evening, just retiring from the session. Further back, we've almost got a 4 wide situation being led by Max Duca. He's going to have he's going to need more than 2 eyes to keep an eye on these mirrors and over his shoulder. So it's quite sketchy going here, 2 by 2. All the drivers get through well. Pedro just getting a bit of a snap-on exit. It's further ahead, looks like. Oh, get a bit of a tap. That invites Pedro through, but to the outside. Can he hold it all the way to the wall? That's going to affect Bachelor Lightyear's exit, but does seem to get ahead. Further good, Gulmarv not starting too well on the hard tyres. He's got a bit of a train forming behind him. Rising Moon not quite getting away from Creamer as he might hope. And Bachelor Lightyear does overtake Max Duca. And Pedro dropping all the way to the back. Creamer desperately wants to hold on to DRS. Rising Moon will only have so many laps of life to escape this DRS, and the medium tyres start coming at him. It's almost, he has got the 1 second now. Obviously DRS will get enabled on the following lap. And Artezic goes to the outside of Gulmarv. He's got so much speed in that McLaren. And then further back, Gulmarv picking up the slipstream. Goes for a dive to the outside so they can slot in between himself, Tezic, and Persegili to his rear. Or Solid Interstate to his rear, sorry. Persegili up to 7th already from the back. Oh, as he gets a bit of a tap with Tezic and Gulmarv up front. All seems fair. Very well done battling through the Mickey Mouse section here. Oh, as we're going 3 wide down the straight. Tezic seemingly has a lot straight line speed than that McLaren. Oh, as Simi Rally Monster dives to the inside. And as eyes left, where's Tezic? So much action going on. Gulmarv goes deep on the brakes, tries to get around the outside of Persegili. Persegili holding him off. Persegili using a bit of the curb to maintain his position there, as he already made up half the positions in the race that he's looking to get. Solid Ninja Snake not letting Tezic go. As we look ahead, Creamer has lost the DRS detection from Rising Moon. But DRS is going to open now for Solid Ninja Snake. Let's see how fast Tezic's car really is in a straight line without DRS assistance. Goes defensive to the inside, but then lets his car drift out. Tezic tries to hang it around the outside, but can't make it work. Goes off track. Invites Persegili to let the Tiger to T. Persegili throwing shapes at Tezic. He wants to watch that front wing. We know he's fast, but there's only so much you can do with a broken front wing. DRS opens again. Up front, we've had Simi Rally Monster get around Creamer. Creamer just seemingly not agreeing with these medium tyres at the moment. DRS opens again for Creamer. But away Simi Rally Monster goes. Maybe he's got a better chance of catching Rising Moon. Now the head of the snake is now Solid Ninja Snake. No pun intended. But he just seems to be dropping Tezic a little bit. Maybe Tezic is just struggling a little bit in the fast corners. Persegili's not had an opportunity on him just yet. But he's going to come for him now, I'm absolutely certain of it. DRS will open now. Tezic does have the support of the DRS from Simi Rally Monster. It's on Ninja Snake even. But we've just missed Creamer going back past Simi Rally Monster, but then cuts the curb quite heavily, goes deep, manages to regain his line, gets the exit. Simi Rally Monster is going to have DRS here. Now, is this just going to be endless changing of positions, letting Rising Moon get away? Rising Moon, who I can't help but notice, is already flashing on his DRS. Simi Rally Monster goes to the inside. Easy move done underneath DRS. And Tezik gets back past Ninja Snake. Does that invite Persegili back up the inside? It does. But he's quite tight here. He's going to get boxed in by Tezik a little bit. Ninja Snake gets back up the inside for the next corner. But then Persegili, with the extreme speed around the outside, gets back up behind Tezik for P5. As Moonshine heads to the pit. Is that down to damage? Yes, it's down to damage. Yeah, Persegili, it doesn't seem to matter what tyre he's on. He can make pace on the field. We're going to go back on board with Creamer, who I suspect is going to trade this position once more. I think maybe have a foolproof strategy to take this position and keep it. Because they seem to be pretty equal on straight line speed. You catch Batch of Lightyear going down the inside of Gulmarv, who tries to hang it up the inside but can't quite get up the inside there. And here we go again. Simi Rally Monster eyeing up Creamer with DRS. Will it be as textbook as the previous overtakes have been between the two? I'll tell you what, not sure if Creamer's using down there, but he's kept ahead as Persegili finally gets past the front of the train and gets past Tezik, but then goes all the way to the wall as there's contact in the background. As that's the other Aston Martin fighting the other Haas. Looks for a dive into turn one and backs out as Max Duca picks up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And I wonder if Rising Moon, despite the battles that have been going on behind him, is starting to drop time to Creamer now. Maybe the soft tyres have now gone off. Yeah, Creamer's just eating away at him down the straight. I think Creamer's done really well now. He has given enough of a gap to Simi Rally Monster that even though he's closing on the straight, there's not any more overtaking happening. Maybe together. Oh, as we catch Tezik doing a very late and deep dive down the inside of Persegili. He looks to move around the outside. Tezik says no, puts his car back in the middle of the track while he still can. Oh, as Tezik gets a huge snap off the curb, but regains. Persegili with a bit of a smoother run through there. He's going to come back here. 2 tenths is the gap. He's up alongside. He's got the DRS open. And I think this is going to be an easy move by the end of the straight. But Rising Moon still persisting despite the time coming down. To continue lapping around on these softs. Simi Rally Monster, maybe content in position, but not meaning that he's going to give up the pressure on Creamer. He wants to stay far away from Persegili. Persegili now with the clean air, without DRS, now is going to really have to show his skills to show that he can catch up with the car's head in free air. That's Super Jesse. Just going through a yellow flag zone. Not sure what happened at the back there. I think Simi Rally Monster. Not sure if it's an exit problem or if he's just down on the RS. Neither car flashing, so I think they've been both quite conservative. Either that or he's planning one big assault to take the lead when Rising Moon eventually peels in. Car's just starting to settle now on lap 7. There's strategy to be had. Half the grid on medium tyres. A few already drop into the hard. Oh, Rising Moon throws one in at the last minute. Runs Creamer wide, but gives him just about enough space to continue racing. That was a brave move. But Creamer then comes back up the inside because he was alongside as they exited the last corner, and it goes back ahead. This now giving Rising Moon back his almost 3-second advantage in the lead. I'll tell you what, it looks a hell of a lot more than 3 seconds from that camera angle. Even this group, the long train, is starting to disperse itself. Most likely attack at the moment is Solid Ninja Snake on Tezik. Coming down the back straight. Well, it's not really a straight. The back worm. Looks like he's got plenty of ERS to use. He throws one to the outside. DRS open. But Tezik has it as well. Can he make the move around the outside? We're staying on track. He keeps it on track, but Tezik just finds that deeper line into the next corner and holds on. Simi Rally Monster still coming at Creamer. To be honest, I reckon if either of them want the win here, they probably want to leave each other alone. Simi Rally Monster is really starting to negatively affect his entry lines, continuously looking around Creamer. Rising Moon's going to have really rough tyres at the end unless he really sticks this soft run out. So Perseguili, as mentioned, was always going to find it harder to pull away from this group than it was to find the next one, as he maintains within DRS detection of Tezik. Simonis are definitely dropping back now. Creamer doing a good job. Creamer also bringing the time down to Rising Moon. Great having this onboard shot as we go through this section. You see exactly how much control he has as he exits that corner. No corrections on the steering wheel whatsoever. And as we see that, as he heads pummeling towards going on these 2 seconds to Rising Moon, the closest he's been in several laps. Has Rising Moon noticed this? No, he carries on still. Yeah, Perseguili is dragging this group all the way up to the podium positions. So as they carry on holding DRS detection to him, the other two ahead of fighting, it just brings them closer and closer together. Just, yeah, relentless pace from Perseguili. He'd very much fancy to have played this hard tyre call right at the start and just carry on, and he will, as he's the furthest forward hard tyre runner, he will probably inherit the lead of the race when the top three come in for their pits. Simirani wants to get very, very close to Creamer there, because I think these two have calmed down. Perseguili, I think, went a little bit deep there at the end of that corner. There's Tezik and Solid Ninja Snake close right back up. Now the question is, will they fight this, given the opportunity? They're racers, of course they will. But Perseguili on the straight, just pulling away from DRS. As now, I'm not sure if Rising Moon has had an off somewhere, but now the gap is down to half a second. The soft tyre strategy is starting to come undone, as I fully suspect Creamer is going to pull ahead down the back straight once he gets a hold of some DRS. Rising Moon looking very, very vulnerable right now. Can only suspect going this long on the softs, he is going to elect to go on the medium towards the end, while everybody else will either be left with a slow hard tyre or a soft tyre they won't be willing to run to the end. But here comes Creamer, as promised, to the outside, swoops round, goes a little bit deep, but pulls back onto the racing line and takes the lead of this race on lap 11. We now have a three-way battle for the lead as Rising Moon hops and jumps over the Mickey Mouse curbs. He's going to get DRS detection back, but his fight at this point is now futile. He really needs to think about pitting. He's losing this much time to the cars around him. Surely he must come in now. He must. No, persists still. I can understand the feeling of wanting to be in the fastest car at all times, but at what point do you stop thinking about that and start thinking about how much time you're losing and what gap you'll come out in? As we catch Pedro up the inside, not around the outside, sorry, of Bachelor Lightyear, make a move into turn one. As the party starts again in Miami on the back straight, DRS will open for all those involved. Was that Creamer with some great straight line speed, puts up an ample defence. But you can see how Rising Moon just dropping back towards Simi Running Monster there. You can see he's definitely struggling. But he's just showing so much confidence in certain areas of the track. You can see why he thinks he can carry on. As 4/10 is the gap as they approach the DRS detection. The Rising Moon could get up alongside here. Pulls out of the slipstream marginally too early in my opinion. Now puts himself back vulnerable. Simi Running Monster coming past the pit straight. Persegili now only 2.5 seconds off this battle. These tyres ahead of him probably looking pretty worn and battered at this point. Rising Moon's just to be on the soft, been up for this long, and the mediums pushing so hard to catch him. This Tezik really trying hard to hold off Solid Ninja Snake. Here comes Simi Running Monster again. And Rising Moon. I think a lot of people just trying to make sure they get to their pits in one piece now. I can only feel now that Rising Moon, despite the setup that he has, the DRS he has, these soft tyres, he's just not getting the exits. Now I'm unsure now if he might be playing for a safety car. There could be a lot of people playing for a safety car. A catch. I think that was Tezik heading into the pits. Off the medium tyres, he's had enough of them. And at this point in the race, we're going to stay on board with him to see if he dares to go soft. No, onto the hard tyres. Thinks, despite making 14 laps in the mediums, he thinks he needs a hard to get all the way to the end. Bachelor Lightyear comes in as well, from mediums to hards. So Cream is doing a great job here, just keeping Rising Moon and Simi Rally Monster at arm's length here. Not letting them think, hey, you're not too special, I can drive away too. Percy Geely stabilising at about a 2-second gap to this podium fight. As Rising Moon sets himself up once again for DRS down the straight. But he's got Simi Rally Monster for company. Simi Rally Monster, here's the close of the three that are coming down the straight. Kicks up dirt and allows Rising Moon to finally dive into the pits behind Creamer. Rising Moon in as well. Percy carries on as you would on the hard tyre. Promoting Gulmarv into P3. He's still got a bit of a way to go before he gets off these hard tyres. Pedro coming up from the back. 2P5, but crucially Rising Moon does get out ahead of him. I expect Rising Moon to be very fast in the closing stage of this race on those medium tyres that he's going to run to the end. I was correct. I do apologise, guys, if I go in quiet at any point during the stream. I'm just making sure to stay hydrated. It's very warm in this house. And Rising Moon immediately coming after Creamer. Creamer is on the hard tyres. Rising Moon on the much faster mediums, quick to heat up. Rising Moon Creamer having to go defensive. Oh, as Rising Moon goes into the back of Creamer. Doesn't look too bad. But off he goes. He's going to want this done pretty quick. He wants to use the pace in those tyres. Creamer flashing on his rear. Doesn't have DRS to defend. Doesn't have DRS to defend. And Rising Moon gets ahead for a move that I think he's going to make stick. Gulmarv pitting. Rising Moon doing very well to start bringing down the time to Percy Geely, who's a pit down from him. Pedro goes into the pits for a new wing. Flashlight is going to pick up a few positions here from people in the pits. Simi Rally wants to make sure that he doesn't edge out his tyres here. He does seem to be holding on to them for the lap time. Maybe he feels that his main fight in this is Percy Geely. An alternate tyre strategy might be his way to stay ahead of him after the pit stops. But Rising Moon already taking nearly a second out of Percy Geely already, making this undercut work. As we get the same on board from Rising Moon looking back at Creamer. Rising Moon goes across the left of the track a little bit just to try and break the toe. Was Percy Geely takes a dramatic, unfortunate turn of events in his race with a 5-second penalty that he's going to have to take to the end now. Now he goes, let's see where Percy Geely feeds into this race. And he's definitely going to come out behind the Haas of Solid Ninja Snake, who has... Oh no, he doesn't, because he gets to cut that bit at the corner just ahead of Solid Ninja Snake. That would be quite key to him. Percy Geely rejoins the fight behind those he was battling earlier on. Creamer just about holding on to Rising Moon, but just starting to dip outside of that 1 second detection. Creamer goes quite deep in there to try and gain some ground, but then gets a kick load of oversteer on the exit. Yeah, Creamer just not looking quite as in control as Rising Moon right now. Gulmarv getting through past Max Duca. Max Duca, who's also carrying a penalty, I believe, for speeding in the pit lane. So well done to the drivers so far. I don't mean to jinx it at all, but with 12 laps still to go, there are no safety cars. As Simi Ranimons now pits from the lead, handing the lead back to Rising Moon. He's only really relinquished his net lead once to Creamer for a short period of time. But with what looks like superior strategy for the time being, leading Creamer by 1.5 seconds. Persegili got a bit of work to do to come back here. What about Tezik? Tezik, who's slightly older tyres, just doesn't seem to be making too much impression on Cream at the moment. Gap is 3 seconds. 2 Haas drivers want to get fighting back with that Mercedes ahead. Get your Kevin Magnussen on and go fight that Mercedes. Do what you have to do. Batshuayi makes a nice move up the inside, long before the braking zone. I guess that one done on Mulch Lane. Persegili now, within a second of Tezik. Still got a fair way to go in this Grand Prix yet. There's another 11 laps. If you've been enjoying the action so far, do make sure you drop a like and a subscribe to the channel. As Persegili, with that DRS assistance, that's the fastest lap of the race. We are not surprised. But at the moment, Persegili has to pass Tezik, pass Creamer, pass Rising Moon, and build a 5-second gap. Now it looks fairly comfortable that he is going to take Tezik here with the gap he's maintaining and the DRS that he's going to get. Oh, but then Simi Ranimmonster a bit further back. Fancies a bit of a lunge here. Goes to the outside of Persegili. Persegili from turning him exactly where he wanted. The Simi Ranimmonster completes Tezik's double overtake. Stays well on board with fighting Persegili, does Simi Ranimmonster. And now he's going to get a bucket full of DRS here. Throw at Persegili and said, hey, don't forget about me. Must be quite reassuring for Persegili to start seeing Rising Moon in the distance, considering the task he has at hand for capping this race off in his favour. Lot breaks from Tezik there. Yeah, Simi Ranimmonster. Maybe the thorn in Persegili's side when Persegili's trying to get his cars ahead. Oh, Simi Ranimmonster. It's a bit over the curb on the outside of Spoon. A bit of a three-way battle here with Tezik a little bit further behind. But still, I think did think about a bit of a dive there. Unless he's taking a page out of the Kevin Magnussen playbook and he wants to do a lot of harsh defending from ahead, he might want to get a move done soon. Sim Reynolds, who I believe I probably haven't acknowledged, is on the softs to the end now. It's quite a way to go. They are starting to catch on Creamer, absolutely. Simi Reynolds sets the fastest lap of the race, having passed Persegidi. Sorry, I've missed that. Further back, Pedro taking a long run down the inside of Mudslane. Persegidi getting back past. I'm sorry, I'm missing all of this. Just trying to cover what comes over the screen. Simi Reynolds looks like he's had quite the moment to have fallen that far behind. Yeah, quite a key sort of delta to be keeping an eye on here is Creamer. He's very much setting how far it is to get to Rising Moon. And you can see him, but seeing is just simply not enough. Simi Reynolds that hasn't really caught back up here. Still lingering almost a second behind Persegili. With DRS help, he has closed in that a little bit by about 3/10. Closing in once again though, he's starting to light these soft tyres back up. So we're just waiting for these positions to go back out on the market, waiting for the errors to come, the tyres to drop off, and people will really start lapping up some of these very short gaps that are appearing on the track. Not for lack of trying. Persegidi looks as though one around the outside of Creamer. Now he's really brought the fight to him. Also, what Creamer probably wants to do here is fight this relatively hard, so he doesn't have too many laps to fight and try and keep up with Creamer, with Persegidi and Simi Reynolds, who are both carrying penalties. But with Persegidi basically pushing Creamer along, it's only be a matter of time and he's gone. That camera angle, I don't know if someone's just crashed into the wall. I have to wait for them to emerge. In turn, Simi Reynolds to maintain a very close gap of only 3/10 to Creamer. Tezik ultimately running a bit of a lonely race now. 5 seconds in front, 2.5 seconds behind. That's Duca, despite being quite far behind. Gulmov has got an Aston Martin for company behind him, along with the Red Bull of Pedro. As Creamer loses out now to Simi Reynolds, who makes a dive down the end of the long S's. Persegidi now has slashed a second off that gap that Rising Moon has been building for the past few laps. What was 2.8, 2.9 is now dipping underneath 2 seconds. It'll be just a matter of time before Persegili is on Rising Moon. Rising Moon could take a lot of comfort in the fact that Persegili is hanging on to about, I think, about 8 seconds worth of penalties. Rising Moon, who's driven an almost faultless race, probably deserves the look that Persegili's handing to him in these penalties. We're just settling in, maybe going to take just a DRS all the way to the end. We'll finish on P2 if it finishes as it is. Yeah, Persegili will definitely feel like he's almost in striking distance now. He can sniff that gearbox. Further downfield, the Alfa Romeo swap positions. Through the Mickey Mouse. Mercedes versus Mercedes. For the temporary lead of this race. Rising Moon just got to survive another 5 more laps. And I believe the P2 that Creamer's going to get as a result of all this will be very, very welcome in his championship to fend off those behind. The man currently sat P2 in the championship. Yeah, Rising Moon just positioned his car in all the right places. Persegili not giving up the hunt. Not sure if he genuinely believes he can build that gap. It'll be interesting to see. He doesn't get the best exit onto the back S's. And here he goes, round the outside. Rising Moon not offering too much of defence. As long as he doesn't drop 8 seconds in 4 laps, this win should be his. But no, Persegili once again showing why he's the division champion. Coming from last all the way to first, albeit with a few penalties. Now the top few are starting to get settled. We'll go down to Super Jesse, battling with Pedro ahead. He's got Bachelor Lightyear ahead of him. As Max Duca becomes another casualty of the track limits on the track. The Veg is going to get his DRS open, but what does he have left in the tank? Bachelor Lightyear has gone very defensive initially. Bit of a dive bomb. Blocks his left front. Hits the wall. Does that allow Max Duca through? No, Super Jesse through. Does almost. They're side by side. Who'll break latest into the first corner? Let's see. It was Pedro. And Pedro maintains that position behind Bachelor Lightyear in P9. So half a second the gap, which will definitely get Rising Moon the win here. That's a little bit of a penalty update. Showing all the wrong things. There we go, there are your penalties. Sorry, I've lost my marbles a little bit there. There are 8 seconds for Persegili, which will easily drop him off the podium unless he can get his act together. Now, if someone would like to do a quick math for me, I believe they'll drop him behind what was Creamer. I don't think he'll come up behind Tezik. Rising Moon did a great job to hang with this, cementing his position on the top step of the podium. Simu Running Monster just lagging a little bit, dropping off the back of Creamer, but he's probably not going to benefit from Percy Geely's penalties quite as much as the rest of them. He needs to maintain within 5 seconds, which he currently is not. Well, the Rising Moon doesn't need to do anything silly here. He's holding a really good gap. There's no excuse for getting a bit too leery. This battle for the last points positions is really heating up. Pedro and Super Jesse swapping places almost every corner. Yeah, only 2 more laps. The Rising Moon to survive, and he'll be the winner of this race. I think Percy Geely, if he can push on a little bit more, may still get on the podium here. He needs 2 more seconds over Creamer to get that P3. Creamer, who has been struggling on this hard, it seems. So yeah, 6.7 seconds is the gap. Needs to be about a tenth and a half more. Percy Geely to really feel like he's going to have this podium in the bag. I think he might have given up that his teammate is going to have the win here. But here we go, resuming with the Super Jesse and Pedro show. Super Jesse getting his eye in, but then watching Pedro go a little bit deep as he almost goes back into the back of Bachelor Lightyear. But nothing doing now. Percy Geely starting the final lap of the race. Not quite at 8 seconds yet. Is at 6.4. He needs another 6/10. Creamer really wants to push on now. Use the life and the hard tyres. Give it everything. Percy Geely is blinking. Creamer is not. He wants to use everything. Simi Running Monster now picks up an additional penalty that he will not now get ahead of Percy Geely. Absolutely. But Pedro once again on Super Jesse. This duel is going all the way to the end. This is where the action really is. We will make sure to go back to Percy Geely for his moment of the sun. Oh, with Super Jesse locks up wide. It looks like somebody just had a bit of a scratch with the outside wall as well. So Ninja Snake at the last finally picks up a penalty. But we're going to round the final bend with Percy Geely and Rising Moon. Mercedes 1-2 as it crossed the line, but I think Creamer is just going to have done enough to keep his podium spot. He does, and so does Percy Geely. Says it crossed the line, a bit of a lonely race for him towards the end. Solid Ninja State crossed the line. Gormov, Bachelor Lightyear leading ahead. Super Jesse and Pedro though. Pedro looking to line up and move into the final corner. This isn't a dive. I'll be surprised. There's only one more corner left. He goes to dive and goes to the inside. They do touch. But then Super Jesse gets a fantastic drive out wide. Oh, so close to the line at the end there. Max Duca does get his 5-second penalty applied. And last cross line is Moosh Lane. And that is it, guys. That is the Miami Grand Prix. The game is given drive of the day to Persegili. I personally like to give it to Rising Moon, who had a perfectly executed game plan. And there you have it. There is your leaderboard for the finishing of that race. Persegili obviously doing a fantastic job to come back from 12th, but he's had plenty of drive of the day so far this season. But I'm going to give that one to Rising Moon, who did a fantastic job there on the pace, on the money, all race. Fastest lap goes to Simi Running Monster down in 5th, who beat the field by about 0.2 in his fastest lap. There's a flick. Yeah. I know it's always helpful when the stewards come up. Seemed a bit of an incident-free race. I did see that Pedro was missing part of his front wing at the end there, but hopefully that was all done with love and not war. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining this week, and I hope you can all join us for the last round of the championship next week in Brazil. It should be good fun, and hopefully you'll all come to see me off as well, as it'll be my last race commentating for you. Well, have a good night. Enjoy the sun when it comes out. Goodbye.